Luke chapter 7, verse 44 said, "And he turned to the woman and said unto Simon, Seest thou this woman? I entered into thine house. Thou gavest me no water for my feet, but she has washed my feet with her tears and wiped them with the hairs of her head. Thou gavest me no kiss, but this woman, since the time I came in, have not ceased to kiss my feet. My head with oil thou didst not anoint, but this woman has anointed my feet with ointment. Wherefore I say unto thee, her sins, which were many, are forgiven, for she loved much. But to whom little is forgiven, the same loveth little. And he said unto her, Thy sins are forgiven." The last verse. "And he said unto the woman, Thy faith hath saved thee. Go in peace." Thy faith hath saved thee. Go in peace. All right. Let's see. We talked earlier about not becoming desensitized to God and our need for forgiveness, and coming to the place that we've been in church so long and been in this Christian atmosphere so long, and this Christ atmosphere so long, until we no longer really see the real value of it. And instead of giving God what he deserves, we only come to extract from him, to take from him. And we've lost the awareness of that when we give our all to Christ, he does in turn gives us something, whether we ask for it or not. That's why we have to remember that our service to Christ is to Christ. Our service in ministry is to the fullness of the Godhead. We have to understand that our service is not just for people and us, but the service is to be rendered unto God. I think it was the O'Neill twins that say, "What shall I render unto the Lord?" For what? All of his goodness and his mercies. What shall I render?
All I have.
All I have is my life. Amen. And you have to remember that is to be rendered. But in this text, the woman comes with something. Look at your neighbor and tell them, create a vacuum.
Create a vacuum.
I think we've talked about this before, but I think y'all have forgotten it. You have to create a vacuum, a space for things to come into your life. Picture this with me real quick. Picture a couple of hoarders sitting in their living room with junk piled all around. Just picture it real quick. I'm talking about real hoarders with everything just stacked up all around them, as high as they can see, you can see. Things just piled up around. You know, when our hearts become, filled with emotions and memories, and we hang on to these things. Some of us hang on to even relationships that no longer serve us. We just hold on to old things. Are y'all sleepy? No. Okay, just making sure y'all I didn't know. Because I'm going to say what I'm going to say, whether y'all sleep through it or not.
All right. Say it, brother.
Hold on to things that no longer serve you. You got to be careful when you hold on to things that no longer serve a purpose in your life. You're just holding on to it, because when you do that, you're actually what? Hoarding. Hoarding. You're actually just keeping stuff that can't be used no kind of way. And you're actually holding on to memories that are actually what? No good at all to you. And you just keep holding them. And they're keeping you out of what you should be in. Because you're just keeping your life cluttered with these old memories. When we hold on, we also hold on to our past fears. Fear of not having enough. Fear of not enough love. Fear of not enough happiness. Fear of not enough money. And all these things hold us back when we live in the fear of not enough. And if you don't believe it, you could just look at the life of a hoarder. If you know a person that keeps stuff in their house, they're keeping it because of what? The fear of letting it go. And if they let it go, they fear that they will what? Need it. Amen? And they fix this in their mind that they're going to need this junk that's in their house or whatever. They fixed it in their mind that they're going to need this thing that cannot serve a purpose in your life any longer. And therefore, they are living in the fear of not having enough. Amen? You will keep the wrong type of people around you if you live in the fear of not having enough love. You won't give to people that you need to give to when you live in the fear of not having enough money. And guess what? When you live in this fear of not having enough, you never have enough. Because you get that thing that you keep space for, you won't make space for something good to come in, so you just clutter your life with the junk you already have. Just pat your neighbor on the shoulder and say, tell them, now listen here now. If you want something good to come in your life, you got to let some of that bad stuff go. Y'all didn't like that. And because you didn't like it, I'm going to tell you to do it again. Look on the other side and say, listen here. If you want something good to come in your life, you got to let some of that bad stuff go. When we hang on to things, we tend to focus on the past, living in the past. We focus on history. And we're possibly even keeping score of what's going on. And we also hoard our emotions. Some of y'all are just emotional hoarders. In other words, you just bottle what? Everything up. And when you need to be emotional, guess what? You don't even know how to anymore, because you just used to what? Holding it all in. You sitting at the funeral, you're supposed to be crying, and you just... And that's a time to be emotional. You get a brand new car. It's just a car. And that's a time to be emotional. Somebody come to you and tell you, oh, I'm getting married. That's a time to be emotional. They come to the church and everybody just bouncing and praising the Lord. You just... What is wrong with these crazy people? It's a time to be emotional.
Yeah.
You just hoard your what? Emotions. In other words, and whenever you need to speak up, you never speak up. You just what? Hoard it. You just hold it. Amen. I'm talking to the right crowd. I see you bouncing them big water heads. I see you. I'm in the right group. Look at your neighbor and say, no, don't hold that stuff. Don't hold that stuff. You don't hoard your emotions. You express your emotions. Okay? Because when you hoard them, it tends to fill up everything. And then when things get too full, guess what happens? They spill over and make a big mess. Okay? Hoarding your emotions causes for a big mess. Amen. Not being expressive when it comes to your emotions causes a big mess. You've got to create what? A vacuum, a space to feel better, to feel different, to be an effective person in life. You create space to be effective. You don't practice living in the history of your life. And you don't practice keeping score on everything that has happened in your life. You let bygones be what? Bygones. And you do what? You make more space for better to come. Because when you don't make space, it's obvious that you are afraid that that space can never be filled again. Amen. Amen? Yeah. I'm talking about this woman now. Y'all got to pay attention to. Because when this woman comes in, they do what? They spill out her history. And all they can talk about is their past experiences with her. And her past experiences. They do not focus on what is right before her. And what is right before her? She has created what? A vacuum, a space for Jesus to forgive her of her sins, but they haven't created what? A vacuum for the Lord to do what? Forgive them of their sins, and they do what? They make mention of what she's done. If he knew what kind of a woman this was, he wouldn't let her put her hands on him. Are y'all following me really? But the woman here in turn says, I'm well aware of the kind of person that I am. And I'm well aware of my past. I'm well aware of my behavior. But she's saying, I'm ready for something new to happen in my life. Something different to happen in my life. And for it to happen, I've got to do what? Come with my mind made up to do what? Create space for God to dwell in there. So I no longer have to live in where I've been and what I've done, but I can live in the space of what God is doing in my life right now. Do I have a witness out there? Look at your neighbor and say, God is really doing something in my life right now. Amen. Amen. Things do not make you happy. The hoarder doesn't understand that things don't make you happy. Things don't make you happy when your heart and mind is full of past events. What he's saying is, when your mind is filled with what was and what was and what was, you can get what is, and what is can't make you happy because your mind is so cluttered with what was. You cannot accept what is because your mind is so far off on what was until you can't live in what is right now. I wish I could get about 20 of y'all to just get your mind off of what was and say, this is the day right now.